the anomaly began as a flicker. Late one evening, Dr. Amara Al-Khalil sat in her dimly lit Cairo apartment, poring over a centuries-old papyrus fragment. Her phone buzzed with a message from a colleague at the International Space Observatory. "Have you seen this? Turn on the news." No. She barely had time to blink before her screen lit up with breaking headlines. Global satellite disruptions reported. At first, the anomaly was dismissed as a routine solar flare. But as hours passed, data emerged that painted a far stranger picture. Thousands of satellites had detected an unidentified object in Earth's orbit, something massive, previously cloaked from all detection systems. In the days that followed, the scientific community was gripped by the revelation. The object appeared to be stationary, roughly 500 kilometers above the Earth. Military officials scrambled to confirm its nature, while conspiracy theorists flooded social media with claims of alien invasions and government cover-ups. Then came the first clear image, a distorted, grainy capture from a deep space telescope. It sent shockwaves across the world. It was a pyramid. Not a crystalline structure or a sharp-edged spacecraft, but an unmistakable triangular edifice eerily similar to the Great Pyramid of Giza, except floating in the vacuum of space. Dr. Al-Khalil, one of the world's foremost Egyptologists, was immediately summoned by international authorities. She arrived at NASA's Johnson Space Center, where she was greeted by a stoic, broad-shouldered figure, Captain Marcus Harlan, a veteran astronaut with 3 successful missions under his belt. "I hear you're the expert on all things ancient and mysterious," he said with a lopsided grin. "And I hear you're the one who's supposed to get us up there," she replied, equally dry. The International Task Force convened to analyze the data. As the team scrutinized high-resolution images of the orbiting pyramid, Dr. Al-Khalil spotted something extraordinary: hieroglyphs etched into the structure's golden panels. They were far too intricate to be random. "This isn't just a pyramid," she declared during a briefing. "This is a message." Under a magnifying lens, the hieroglyphs revealed sequences that matched those found in Egypt's oldest temples. One particular glyph stood out: the Eye of Ra, a symbol often associated with cosmic protection and the divine sun. "What are the odds," she said, "that a structure in space would bear the exact markings of one built millennia ago on Earth?" Captain Harlan folded his arms. "You're saying this thing is connected to the pyramids?" "I'm saying it's no coincidence." As the world learned of the object's existence, the response was chaotic. Protesters flooded city streets, warning against waking gods. Others embraced the discovery, heralding it as proof that humanity was not alone in the universe. Media outlets amplified every theory. Some speculated that ancient Egyptians had possessed advanced technology, gifted by extraterrestrial beings. Others pointed to biblical prophecies or alien overlords returning to reclaim Earth. Through the noise, Dr. Al-Khalil focused on deciphering the message. Using a combination of ancient texts and advanced AI, her team began translating the glyphs. Slowly, a chilling phrase emerged: "The sky carries our legacy. Let the chosen ascend." "What does that mean?" Captain Harlan asked. "I don't know," Amara admitted. "But it sounds like an invitation or a warning." In a matter of weeks, an international expedition was greenlit, led by NASA with contributions from ESA, JAXA, and private aerospace firms. The team was a mix of scientists, engineers, and military personnel, with Dr. Al-Khalil and Captain Harlan at the helm. The spacecraft, aptly named Horus, was designed for long-duration missions and equipped with experimental shielding to withstand the unknown forces surrounding the pyramid. Amara insisted on bringing artifacts from Egypt's temples aboard: amulets, scrolls, and tools she believed might resonate with the structure. "Superstitions won't help us out there," Harlan joked as she packed a scarab-shaped medallion. "Call it science," she shot back. "You'll thank me when this medallion opens a door." 2 days before the launch, new data emerged from a radar scan. The pyramid wasn't just floating, it was emitting faint signals. Amara and her team analyzed the frequencies, finding patterns resembling music or chants, almost like a ritualistic hum. One soundbite stood out: a deep, reverberating tone that matched the exact frequency of the king's chamber inside the Great Pyramid of Giza. The pyramids on Earth weren't tombs, Amara concluded in a meeting. They were markers, points of alignment. This structure could be their culmination. "You're saying this thing was built by aliens?" someone asked incredulously. "Not just aliens," she said. By whoever or whatever helped build our pyramids. Harlan leaned forward. So the question isn't just what it is. It's why it's here. The night before the launch, Amara stood beneath the stars, staring at the pyramid's distant shadow visible through high-powered telescopes. A soft wind rustled her hair as she pondered the enormity of what they were about to face. Harlan approached, holding 2 steaming cups of coffee. Nervous, terrified, she admitted. But also excited. This could redefine everything we know about history, about humanity. He smirked. Just remember, when it gets scary up there, you've got me. He smiled, taking a sip. Let's hope we don't find something that even you can't handle. As the countdown clock ticked closer to 0, the world held its breath. Scientists, spiritual leaders, and ordinary people alike stared at their screens, united by a singular question. What awaits us beyond the stars? The revelation was only the beginning. The Horus stood on the launch pad like a metallic titan, its golden accents gleaming under the morning sun. Designed for deep space exploration, the spacecraft was equipped with the latest technology, gravitational stabilizers, adaptive shielding, and an AI-powered interface named Thoth. Painted along its sleek exterior was the Eye of Ra, a symbolic nod to the mission's connection to Earth's ancient past. Inside the cabin, Dr. Amara Al-Khalil adjusted the harness across her chest. Beside her, Captain Marcus Harlan exuded calm, though his fingers tightened subtly around the edges of his armrests. Around them, a team of 10 specialists, including engineers, biologists, and archaeologists, performed last-minute checks. Final systems check complete, announced a voice through the intercom. We are go for launch. Amara closed her eyes and muttered a quiet prayer in Arabic, clutching the scarab-shaped medallion she had brought aboard. She glanced at Harlan, who caught her gaze and offered a reassuring smile. Brace yourselves, folks, he said. Next stop, the stars. At precisely 9:12 a.m., the Horus roared to life, its engines spitting plumes of fire and smoke as it ascended into the heavens. The cabin rattled under the immense thrust, and the crew held their breaths as Earth fell away beneath them. Minutes later, the shaking subsided, replaced by the gentle stillness of zero gravity. We've achieved orbit, said Harlan, his voice calm but tinged with awe. Initiating course for the object. Amara unbuckled herself, floating slightly above her seat. Through the viewport she caught her first unobstructed glimpse of the pyramid in space. It hung against the backdrop of the cosmos, its surface shimmering faintly as if alive. Magnificent, she whispered. As the Horus neared the object, the spacecraft's systems began to act erratically. Screens flickered and a low hum resonated through the cabin. Thoth, report, Harlan commanded. The AI's soothing voice replied, detecting gravitational anomalies and electromagnetic interference. Stabilizers engaged, but conditions are volatile. The pyramid loomed larger with every passing second, its size dwarfing even the most advanced space stations. Its golden exterior seemed to ripple as if rejecting their presence. Amara studied the hieroglyphs etched into its surface, visible now through the ship's magnified lenses. There's a pattern, she said, leaning closer. These glyphs, they're warnings. Repeated symbols for danger. Let's hope they're just being dramatic, Harlan muttered, gripping the controls. As they approached what appeared to be an entrance, a large triangular opening near the base of the structure, the Horus shuddered violently. The stabilizers whined as the ship's autopilot struggled against the gravitational distortions. Manual override. Harlan barked. One of the engineers, a wiry man named Saito, scrambled to assist. Together they managed to steady the craft, but the docking alignment remained precarious. Docking port engaged, announced Thoth. Caution. Structural integrity of external systems compromised by gravitational flux. Translation. Amara asked nervously. If we don't dock perfectly, we're toast, Harlan replied. The seconds felt like hours as the Horus slowly aligned with the pyramid. Finally, with a soft metallic thud, the docking clamps engaged. Connection secured, Thoth confirmed. The crew erupted into quiet cheers, though the tension lingered. They had made it, but the journey inside was only beginning. The airlock hissed as the crew prepared to board. Amara was the first to step into the passageway, her heart pounding. The walls were smooth and cold, with an iridescent sheen that seemed to pulse faintly. Glowing inscriptions lined the hallway, written in an alien language interspersed with Egyptian hieroglyphs. It's a blend, she murmured, running her fingers over the carvings. Some of these glyphs are familiar, but the others, they're not from Earth. The team followed cautiously, their footsteps echoing in the cavernous space. The hallway opened into a vast chamber, its ceiling arching high above them. Pillars adorned with intricate carvings rose like trees, and at the center stood a pedestal holding a glowing orb. "What is this place?" whispered Elena, the team's xenobiologist. Amara approached the pedestal, her eyes drawn to the inscriptions encircling it. As she deciphered the symbols, a chill ran down her spine. "It's a warning," she said aloud. "It says, 'Those who disturb the slumber shall awaken the curse.'" Despite the ominous message, the team pressed forward. They moved through corridors that seemed to shift subtly as if the structure were alive. Panels embedded in the walls displayed holographic projections, images of stars, galaxies, and what appeared to be Earth during the time of the pharaohs. "Look at this," said Saito, pointing to a projection of the Great Pyramid of Giza. Lines of energy extended from it, connecting to similar pyramids worldwide, and finally to the one they were standing inside. "These aren't just monuments," Amara said. "They're nodes in a network. A planetary defense grid, maybe, or some kind of communication system." Deeper inside, they found chambers filled with alien machinery. Smooth, metallic surfaces glowed faintly, and strange symbols pulsed rhythmically, as if following an unseen heartbeat. One of the engineers, a no-nonsense woman named Carter, examined a console with fascination. "This tech is centuries, no millennia beyond anything we've ever seen," she said. Amara knelt beside her, noting that the symbols on the console matched those on the ancient amulets she had brought. She placed the scarab medallion against one of the symbols, and the console came to life, emitting a low hum. "What did you do?" Harlan demanded. "I think I unlocked it," she replied. The room trembled as the console projected a series of holograms. The images showed beings that resembled ancient Egyptian gods, figures with humanoid bodies and animalistic heads. They moved gracefully, commanding vast armies and constructing pyramids. "They're the Neteru," Amara said, her voice barely a whisper. "The ancient gods of Egypt. But they're not gods, they're extraterrestrial." The holograms shifted to show the construction of the pyramids on Earth, with beams of light connecting them to the pyramid in space. The final image was chilling. The same glowing orb they had seen earlier, now radiating power that enveloped the entire planet. "It's a power source," Carter said. "But what kind of power?" Amara translated the glyphs surrounding the orb. "The heart of Ra. To awaken it is to summon judgment." "Judgment from whom?" Harlan asked, his hand instinctively moving to his sidearm. Amara shook her head. "I don't know. But I think we're about to find out." The team moved cautiously into another chamber, this one filled with sarcophagus-like structures. Each was covered in glyphs and faint lights blinked along their edges. Amara leaned closer to one, noting the hieroglyphs for protector and guardian. "These aren't coffins," she said. "They're stasis pods." As if on cue, the lights on the pods began to glow brighter. The hum of the machinery grew louder and the air crackled with energy. Harlan grabbed Amara's arm, pulling her back. "Whatever you did earlier, it's waking something up," he said. Before anyone could respond, a deep voice echoed through the chamber. It spoke in the alien language, but the tone was unmistakably commanding. The glyphs on the walls pulsed in rhythm with the voice, casting eerie shadows across the room. "What's it saying?" Harlan asked. Amara struggled to translate. "It's a declaration, something about trespassers. And judgment." The team exchanged nervous glances. Whatever slumber they had disturbed, it was now fully awake. Despite the growing sense of unease, the team decided to press forward. They entered what appeared to be the central chamber, a massive room dominated by a swirling vortex of light. It was the pyramid's core, the source of its power. Amara approached cautiously, her mind racing with questions. Was this the legacy the Neteru had left behind? Or was it a trap designed to protect secrets that humanity was never meant to uncover? As she reached out to touch the light, Harlan grabbed her wrist. "Are you sure about this?" he asked. "No," she admitted. "But we came here for answers. And this might be the only way to get them." With a deep breath, she stepped into the light. The central chamber of the pyramid buzzed with an almost imperceptible hum, its alien machinery bathed in an ethereal glow. The Horus team moved cautiously through the expansive space, their footsteps echoing faintly against the metallic floors. Dr. Amara Al-Khalil was at the forefront, her eyes darting between the inscriptions on the walls and the peculiar artifacts scattered around the room. Each object radiated an aura of power as if waiting to be activated. "This is unlike anything we've ever seen," said Carter, the engineer, running her hand over a smooth console. "The technology here is alive." Amara nodded, her fingers tracing the alien hieroglyphs glowing faintly on the walls. "It's not just technology, it's symbiotic. Every piece of it seems interconnected like an organism." "Organism or not, let's tread carefully," Captain Marcus Harlan warned. "We don't know what happens if we touch the wrong thing." But the warning came too late. A soft click echoed through the chamber as Saito, the team systems analyst, inadvertently activated a panel on the floor. "What did you do?" Harlan barked, spinning around. I barely touched it," Saito stammered, stepping back. The console flared to life, sending a pulse of blue light shooting upward. It expanded rapidly, enveloping the chamber and the entire pyramid in an instant before dissipating. Down on Earth, chaos erupted. The blue pulse raced across the planet's surface, disrupting power grids and communication systems. Cities plunged into darkness, planes circled helplessly, and satellites spun off course. Panic gripped the globe as scientists scrambled to determine the source of the anomaly. On the Horus, the team barely had time to register what they'd done before the station itself began to respond. Lights flickered erratically, and the hum that had been faint before now grew into a resonating vibration. Amara instinctively placed her hands over her ears as the sound grew deafening. "Thoth status," Harlan yelled over the noise. The AI's voice crackled through the comms. "A significant energy surge has been detected. Systems are stable, but external anomalies are increasing." "What kind of anomalies?" Carter asked, but the answer came before Thoth could respond. All around them the walls began to shift. Panels slid open to reveal pods, sleek, metallic, and humming faintly with energy. They lined the room in symmetrical rows, each glowing with an inner light. "These look like stasis pods," Amara whispered, her breath catching. She approached one cautiously, peering inside. What she saw made her gasp. Suspended within the pod was a humanoid figure, its features eerily reminiscent of ancient Egyptian art. A tall, lithe form with golden skin and the unmistakable head of a falcon. The resemblance to Horus, the Egyptian god of the sky, was undeniable. Before Amara could process what she was seeing, the pods began to open. The first figure stepped out with an elegance that seemed both alien and regal. Its movements were fluid, its gaze piercing. One by one, the others followed, figures with heads resembling jackals, ibises, and lions, their forms glowing faintly with an otherworldly aura. The Horus team instinctively backed away, their training unable to prepare them for this moment. Captain Harlan drew his sidearm, though the gesture felt futile against beings who radiated such overwhelming presence. The falcon-headed figure surveyed the team, its eyes glowing faintly. When it spoke, its voice resonated through the chamber, a deep and melodic tone that seemed to bypass the ears and echo directly in their minds. "Humans," it said in perfect English. "You have awakened the Neteru." Amara stepped forward, her voice trembling but steady. "You hear the Neteru? The gods of ancient Egypt?" The being tilted its head slightly. "Not gods. Guides. Protectors. We once walked among your kind, helping you build your civilization. But we left to shield you from the greater threats that lurk in the stars." Another figure, this one with the head of a jackal, stepped forward. Its voice was colder, more cutting. "And now you disturb our slumber, meddling with forces you cannot comprehend. Why have you come?" Before Amara could respond, the falcon-headed leader raised a hand, silencing its companion. "Peace, Anubis. Let them speak." Amara swallowed hard, choosing her words carefully. "We discovered your station while investigating an anomaly. We didn't mean to disturb you, but humanity is searching for answers, for understanding. We've reached a point where we can explore beyond our world, and your presence raises questions about our origins." The falcon-headed being regarded her for a moment, then nodded. "Your curiosity is admirable. But your progress is concerning. You have built weapons capable of destroying your own world. How long before you turn them on others?" "Not all of us seek destruction," Amara argued. "Many of us want to learn, to grow, to reach for the stars. That is why we guided you in the past," the being said. to help you rise above such impulses. But now we are divided. At this, the group of Neteru exchanged glances. Some nodded in agreement with their leader, while others, like the jackal-headed Anubis, seemed unconvinced. They are reckless, Anubis said. They awaken powers they do not understand. Their kind will invite destruction, not only upon themselves but upon the galaxy. A lion-headed Neteru stepped forward, its voice a rumble like distant thunder. And yet they have shown resilience. Ingenuity. Perhaps they are ready to join the greater galactic community. The argument escalated, the Neteru's voices filling the chamber with an intensity that made the human crew uneasy. Captain Harlan stepped forward, his hand raised in a gesture of peace. Enough, he said firmly. We didn't come here to fight. If there's a way to prove ourselves to you, we're willing to try. Anubis sneered. And how would you do that, human? By demonstrating your capacity for destruction? We're more than our weapons, Harlan shot back. If you've been watching us, you'd know that. We've cured diseases, connected the world, and sent our people beyond the confines of Earth. Judge us by our progress, not our mistakes. The falcon-headed leader, Horus, as Amara was now certain he must be, studied Harlan with a mixture of curiosity and respect. Your words carry weight, Captain. Perhaps there is hope for your kind yet. Anubis, however, was not swayed. Hope does not erase their potential for ruin. They meddled with the heart of Ra without understanding its power. For that alone they should be punished. The lion-headed Neteru stepped between them. Enough, Anubis. Let us not allow fear to cloud our judgment. Horus turned to the humans. If you wish to prove yourselves, you must demonstrate that you are capable of wielding knowledge responsibly. The heart of Ra, the power you have activated, must be stabilized. If it is not, it will consume this station and send shockwaves through your planet. Amara exchanged a nervous glance with Harlan. How do we stabilize it? She asked. You must synchronize your technology with ours, Horus replied. Your tools lack the precision, but together it may be possible. Carter stepped forward, her expression determined. I'll do it. Just tell me what to do. As the humans and Neteru worked together, tensions remained high. Anubis and his faction watched every move with suspicion, while Horus and the others offered guidance. The process was delicate, requiring an understanding of both human and alien systems. Hours passed in tense silence as Carter and Saito worked under the watchful eyes of the Neteru. Finally, the heart of Ra stabilized, its pulsating light calming into a steady glow. You have succeeded, Horus said, a note of approval in his voice. Perhaps there is hope for your kind after all. Anubis, however, remained unconvinced. This proves nothing. They stumbled upon this station by accident and meddled without understanding the consequences. They are dangerous. They are learning, Horus countered. As we once did. The lion-headed Neteru addressed the humans. This is only the beginning. If you wish to earn our trust, you must prove that your intentions align with the greater good. Amara stepped forward, her voice steady. We're willing to try. But we'll need your guidance. Horus inclined his head. Then let this be the start of a fragile alliance. We will observe your progress and decide if you are ready to join us among the stars. As the humans prepared to return to the Horus, the Neteru retreated into the depths of the station. Amara couldn't help but feel a mixture of awe and unease. They had awakened something ancient and powerful, and the consequences were only beginning to unfold. Back aboard their ship, the team reflected on their experience. The power they had glimpsed was beyond anything humanity had ever encountered, but so were the challenges that lay ahead. We've opened Pandora's box, Harlan said grimly as the Horus began its descent to Earth. Now we just have to hope we can handle what comes out. Amara clutched her medallion, her mind racing with possibilities. The Neteru had returned and their judgment loomed over humanity. The question was no longer what they had discovered but what they would do with it. The central hub of the ancient space station hummed with energy as the Horus crew gathered around a console glowing with alien hieroglyphs. Dr. Amara Al-Khalil traced her fingers over the inscriptions, her brow furrowed in concentration. Behind her, Captain Marcus Harlan and the rest of the team stood tense, watching the Neteru argue among themselves. The falcon-headed Horus spoke with authority, his voice resonating in the chamber. This station draws its power from a fragment of a dying star, a source of unimaginable energy. If used wisely, it could end your planet's energy crises. But at what cost? Anubis countered, his jackal-headed visage shadowed in the dim light. Unleashing such power would send ripples through the galaxy, drawing the attention of those who would destroy Earth without hesitation. Amara turned to Horus. Are you saying this technology could save our world? Yes, Horus replied solemnly. But it could also doom it. Your kind must decide whether you are ready to bear the weight of such responsibility. As the Neteru debated, Carter, the engineer, and Saito, the systems analyst, analyzed the energy readings on their portable devices. Carter's face lit up with excitement as she shared her findings. This star fragment is a self-sustaining power source, she said. If we can replicate its technology, we could eliminate Earth's dependence on fossil fuels. Imagine what this could mean: no more blackouts, no more wars over resources. Saito, however, looked skeptical. And no more planet if we screw it up. This is like giving a toddler a nuclear reactor. Their conversation was interrupted by a loud clatter behind them. The team turned to see Dr. Conrad Baines, the expedition's geologist, hastily closing a compartment in his backpack. What are you doing, Baines? Harlan demanded, stepping forward. Baines hesitated, then straightened defiantly. I found something, a small artifact. It's harmless, but its composition could revolutionize materials science. We can't leave this all up here. That's not your call to make, Harlan snapped. Put it back. Baines shook his head. Do you have any idea what this means? The answers to humanity's greatest problems are here, and you're telling me we're going to walk away empty-handed? Before Harlan could respond, a piercing alarm blared through the station. The walls shifted and massive metal shutters slammed down, sealing the room. The AI voice of the station, deeper and colder than the Horus's thoth, echoed through the chamber. Unauthorized extraction detected. Defense protocols activated. Access restricted until intruders prove worthiness. What does that mean? Saito muttered, his eyes darting to the hieroglyph-covered walls. Amara stepped forward, her heart pounding. I think it's a test. Horus nodded, his glowing eyes narrowing. The station's creators embedded safeguards to ensure their knowledge would not fall into unworthy hands. You must solve these trials to regain control. And if we fail? Harlan asked grimly. The station will self-destruct, obliterating the artifact, and you, Anubis said without a hint of remorse. The first puzzle emerged from the floor. A three-dimensional map of constellations, interspersed with symbols from ancient Egyptian mythology. Amara recognized the figures immediately: Orion, the hunter; Isis, the protector; and Ra, the sun god. The creators encoded their mythology into the stars, she murmured. We need to align the constellations to unlock the path forward. Great, Carter said, crouching beside her. But how do we know the right alignment? Amara studied the map intently, recalling the ancient text she'd spent years deciphering. Orion represents Osiris, the god of the afterlife. He must point toward Isis, his wife and protector. Ra should be at the center as he governs all. Working together, the team shifted the stars into position. The map pulsed with light, and a section of the wall slid open, revealing a corridor bathed in golden light. One down, Harlan said. Let's move. The next chamber was even more daunting. At its center stood a massive scale, similar to the one depicted in the Egyptian Book of the Dead. On one side of the scale lay a golden feather and on the other an empty platform. Amara's breath caught. This is the trial of judgment. The heart of the deceased is weighed against the feather of Ma'at, the goddess of truth. Only those whose hearts are pure may pass. How are we supposed to replicate that? Saito asked, scanning the room for clues. Before anyone could respond, the AI's voice returned. Place the artifact on the scale and demonstrate the purity of your intentions. Baines hesitated, clutching his backpack tightly. I don't think this is a good idea. It's your mess, Baines, Carter said sharply. Put it on the scale. Reluctantly, Baines placed the artifact, a small, gleaming orb, onto the platform. The scale tipped violently, but instead of remaining unbalanced, the feather emitted a soft glow, and the orb floated into the air. Purity of intent confirmed, the AI announced. Proceed. The team exchanged relieved glances and moved into the next chamber. The last chamber was the most intimidating. It featured a massive obelisk covered in hieroglyphs, with glowing symbols scattered across its surface. At its base was a control panel with 9 buttons, each marked with a different symbol. Amara studied the hieroglyphs, her pulse quickening. This is a memory test. The buttons represent the Ennead, the 9 gods of Heliopolis. We need to press them in the correct order to unlock the core. Start with the sun god, Carter suggested. Ra should come first. Amara nodded and pressed the button marked with Ra's symbol. The obelisk hummed and one symbol lit up. Next is Shu, god of air, she said, pressing the corresponding button. One by one she named the gods, carefully pressing their symbols in sequence. When the final button was pressed, the obelisk flared to life, its symbols spinning in a dazzling display. The room shook and a hidden door slid open, revealing the station's core. The core was a marvel of alien engineering. At its center hovered the fragment of the dying star, encased in a translucent sphere that pulsed with unimaginable energy. Around it were panels inscribed with hieroglyphs and alien text, their glow pulsating in rhythm with the star fragment. Horus stepped forward, his voice heavy with significance. This is the heart of Ra, the station's power source. It can reactivate the planetary defense grid, your pyramids on Earth. Amara's eyes widened. The pyramids are part of a defense system? As Horus said. They were designed to shield Earth from hostile forces. But activating the grid will send a signal across the galaxy, revealing your location to those who seek to conquer. Anubis growled. And there are many who would see your kind enslaved or eradicated. The team stood in silence, the weight of the decision pressing down on them. On one hand, activating the defense grid could protect Earth from future threats. On the other, it might invite immediate destruction. We can't risk it, Harlan said firmly. We need to find another way to use this technology without painting a target on our backs. Horus inclined his head. A wise choice. But the core cannot remain dormant forever. When the time comes, you must be ready. As the station returned to normal, the Neteru escorted the team back to their ship. Anubis lingered behind, his glowing eyes fixed on Amara. Beware, human, he said. Your kind's ambition will be your undoing. Aboard the Horus, the team reflected on their ordeal. They had survived the trials and uncovered secrets that could change the course of history, but they also knew the dangers that lay ahead. Amara stared out the window at the distant blue orb of Earth. We've opened a door we can't close, she said softly. Now we just have to hope we're ready for what comes through. Harlan placed a hand on her shoulder. One step at a time, Doctor. We'll figure it out. As the Horus began its descent, the Neteru watched from the station, their expressions inscrutable. The fate of humanity hung in the balance, and the next move would determine whether they thrived or perished. The core chamber hummed with latent power, the fragment of the dying star casting flickering shadows across the alien hieroglyphs. The room, once a marvel of calm precision, now felt like a ticking time bomb. Captain Marcus Harlan glanced at Dr. Amara Al-Khalil, her face illuminated by the golden light of the core. Sweat beaded on her brow, but her eyes burned with determination. We're running out of time, Harlan said. His voice was steady, but the tension in his jaw betrayed his unease. The station's destabilizing, and that pulse we triggered earlier might have started a chain reaction. We need a decision now. Amara stepped closer to the core, her hand brushing over the glowing symbols on the console. This technology is humanity's future. With it, we could end wars over resources, heal the planet, and explore the stars. We can't just leave it here. And what happens when it falls into the wrong hands? Harlan countered, his voice sharp. This kind of power doesn't unify humanity, it divides it. We've seen that play out over and over again. The rest of the team stood in uneasy silence, each grappling with the gravity of the choice before them. Carter, the engineer, finally broke the silence. I hate to say it, but Harlan's right. This tech could do a lot of good, but it could also bring a whole lot of chaos. Saito nodded reluctantly. Even if we leave it untouched, there's no guarantee someone else won't find it. If we bring back even a fraction of the data, we could learn enough to prepare for the day that happens. Baines, the geologist, folded his arms. We're acting like we have time to debate this. The station's core is destabilizing. If we don't act now, we're not making it out of here. Amara turned to the Neteru, who had been observing the debate in silence. What happens if we leave the core dormant? Horus stepped forward, his falcon-like eyes narrowing. The station will remain in stasis, drifting through your orbit as it has for millennia. But know this. The longer it remains hidden, the greater the risk of its discovery by forces far less benevolent than you. Anubis, his jackal-headed counterpart, growled low. Your species is untested. If you awaken this power, you will draw the eyes of the void upon yourselves. Are you prepared to face what comes? The station shuddered violently, throwing the team off balance. Sparks cascaded from the walls, and a low rumble reverberated through the corridors. The AI's cold voice echoed in the chamber. Structural integrity at 67%. Core destabilization imminent. We need to stabilize it, Carter shouted, running to a nearby console. Her fingers flew across the alien controls, her engineering instincts kicking in. If this thing goes, it's taking us in half of Earth's orbit with it. Harlan rushed to her side. What do you need? A miracle, Carter muttered, studying the console. And about 10 more minutes. The Neteru exchanged glances, their expressions inscrutable. Finally, Horus raised his hand and the console lit up with new symbols. This will buy you time, he said. But the final choice remains yours. Carter worked quickly, her movements a blur of precision. The core's pulsations slowed and the station's tremors subsided. She stepped back, wiping sweat from her forehead. Stable for now. But this isn't a permanent fix. We've got maybe 30 minutes before it starts destabilizing again. Amara turned to the team, her voice steady but urgent. This isn't just about us. This is about the future of our species. If we leave here without this knowledge, we're turning our backs on an opportunity to grow, to evolve. And if we take it, we're gambling with humanity's survival, Harlan retorted. He gestured to the core. This isn't just energy, it's a beacon. Activate it and every hostile force in the galaxy will know where we are. Baines stepped forward, his tone pleading. What if we compromise? We take what we can, just enough to study, and leave the rest dormant. That way we're not abandoning it completely, but we're not risking everything either. Amara hesitated, her mind racing. She looked to Horus. Would that work? Horus inclined his head. It is a cautious path. Whether it is the correct one remains to be seen. The team gathered around the core, each member casting their vote. It was not unanimous, but the majority agreed to Baines' compromise. They would extract limited data and leave the core dormant for now. Amara activated her scanner, recording the alien hieroglyphs and inscriptions around the core. Meanwhile, Carter and Saito worked to interface with the station's systems, downloading schematics and energy signatures. Harlan watched the process warily. We're cutting it close. As the final data transfer completed, the AI's voice returned. Core stabilization at 50%. Recommend evacuation. Amara hesitated, her gaze lingering on the glowing fragment of the dying star. It seemed almost alive, pulsing gently like a beating heart. She placed a hand on the console, whispering, "One day we'll be ready." The team rushed back to the Horus, the station trembling around them. As they strapped into their seats, the Neteru appeared on the main screen. Horus stepped forward, his expression grave. You have chosen caution over ambition. Time will tell if your choice was wise. Remember this. The stars watch your kind with curiosity and judgment. When you are ready, the path will reveal itself. Anubis added, his voice a low growl, and when that time comes, your species will either rise or perish. The screen went dark and the Horus launched from the station, its engines roaring to life. Through the viewport, the team watched as the ancient structure faded into the void, its golden light dimming once more. The journey back to Earth was quiet, each member of the team lost in their thoughts. They had survived the trials, but the weight of their discovery and their decision hung heavy in the air. As they re-entered Earth's atmosphere, Harlan turned to Amara. You really think we'll be ready someday? Amara looked out at the blue planet below, her expression unreadable. I don't know. But I do know we can't stop searching for answers. That's what makes us human. The Horus touched down on a secure landing pad, greeted by a swarm of officials and scientists. The team disembarked, clutching the precious data that could change the course of history. Days later, Amara sat in her study, poring over the alien inscriptions she had recorded. One phrase stood out, its meaning hauntingly clear. The stars will decide if you are ready. She closed her notebook, her thoughts drifting to the Neteru and the dormant station above. Humanity had taken its first step into a larger universe, but the journey was far from over. In the night sky, the station drifted silently, its secrets waiting to be uncovered. And somewhere in the vast expanse of the galaxy, unseen eyes turned toward Earth, watching, waiting, and deciding.